Alright gang, this is just a review of some dimensional analysis so that you guys can see if you're really understanding it before your quizzes or your tests. So, dimensional analysis, just to let you know, it's also called factor label method or just unit factor method. That's a way of problem solving to convert from one number to another without actually changing its value. It uses equalities written as conversion factors, and conversion factors take an equality and convert it into a ratio. So if we say like for an hour it equals 60 minutes, okay, we can say that that is 1 hour over 60 minutes or 60 minutes over an hour. They mean the same thing, so you can always write two conversion factors for each equality that you have. Now, if I wanted to take 200 or 2.5 years and turn it into days, the first thing that I'll do is I'll write down what I'm given. And I'm given the 2.5 years, and so I'll write that down and I put it on top. Then I'm going to put the unit that I want to cancel on the bottom, which means I want to cancel years, so it's going to go on the bottom, and the unit I want to convert to the top. Well, I have an equality about days and years. I know that for every 1 year that there are 365 days, so that's why I'll put years on the bottom and days on the top, and therefore I'll check that the units cancel, so I'll cancel out the years on the top and bottom. And then, since those numbers are both on the top, we'll multiply them out. So when I do the math, I end up with 912.5 days. Okay, so that's in the correct units. Then, let's say that we wanted to change years to minutes. So I'm going to say for every 5, and it's a problem because my thing is not writing where it's supposed to. For every 5, and yeah, I'm not going to do that. So for every 5 years, let's find my keyboard instead. For every 5, it's not to be like this, which is really not how I want to do that, but okay. For every 5 years, okay, I know again that I'm going to do my T-bar, so I'm going to put years on the bottom. And I don't have anything that goes straight from years to minutes. I have years to days, okay? And then for every 1 year, there's 365 days. And then I'm going to put days to hours. I know that for every 1 day, there's 24 hours. And then I'm going to go from hours to minutes. So for every 1 hour, there are 60 minutes. Okay, so that'll allow me to go ahead and say I'm going to cancel that out of the years there and there, the days cancels out there and there, and the hours cancels out there and there. So then I would just multiply those together, and I would end up with 2.63 times 10 to the 6th minutes. Okay. Now, my next one that I have that's going to come up is going to be changing miles to inches. And that's really just taking it, what I'd like to do is I want to take, let's say that I want to change this to miles squared to inches squared. Okay? When you have squareds like that, you have to continue to have those squares involved when you set up your dimensional analysis. So we have 2.4 miles squared. Okay, so if that's the case, then I'm going to want miles on the bottom, and I have miles and feet that are connected. So then I'm going to go from feet to inches. Okay, so then I'm going to go feet to inches. Now the thing here is that this is miles squared, and for every 1 mile, there's 5,280 feet. And then for every 1 foot, there's 12 inches. Now the key here is we have squareds up here. So since we have squareds up there, I'm now going to have to make this a square. So that means I'm also going to have to square the number. Same thing is going to be true on the top. To make that squared, I have to square the number. Then, same thing here, squared feet, square the number, it's just squaring one though, so it's not going to change. But then if I'm going to square the inches, then again I'm going to have to square the 12 as well. So now, when I go through and cancel out, I'll be able to cancel miles squared, feet squared, and end up with inches squared. So you'd start with 2.4 in your calculator, then you'd multiply it by 5,280 squared, and then you multiply it by 12 squared, and that would give you 0.63 times 10 to the 9th. And that would be inches squared. Okay. Then when you have a combined unit like this, you're going to always start with your 25 kilometers on top, and then you want to put the hours on the bottom. You're always going to deal with it as first your top one and then your bottom one. So we want the top one to go to meters. So for example, I know that for every 1 kilometer, there's 1,000 meters. Okay, so now that I've canceled out my kilometers, I'm done with my meters. I can stop with the top one. But I need to continue on, and I'm going to continue on with now dealing with my hours. So since I have hours on bottom, I now want it on top to cancel out. And I know for every 1 hour, there's 3,600 seconds. Then I can cancel out my hours over here and my hours over here and end up with my seconds on the bottom. So now I've got meters over seconds. So I'm going to multiply 25 times 1,000 and then divide it by 3,600, which would give me 6.94, and that would be meters per second. Okay? Scientific notation, if you're not sure, remember if it's too big, it's too small, then we end up shifting the decimal point to the left or the right accordingly to move it. We'll move it to the right if it's positive, we'll move it to the left if it's negative. So this very large number of Earth's mass here, we're going to move it to the left, so that is going to be making it 24 spaces to the left, so we will make it positive 24, because it's a very large number that we're making smaller. And then for this very tiny number, we would be moving it 15 spaces to the right, so that would become a negative because that's how many we'd have to move it back. And since it's a small number, it becomes a negative value. Alright? So, hopefully this helps some, and you guys, good luck on your test. If you want to try some on your calculator, here's some. When you use your calculator, you'll use your EE button, which is next to the letter A, or if you've got a graphing calculator, it's right here, I believe, or you might have to use your second and then find your EE button. So, lots of different ones, but you could try this, and you would type 1.2, EE3, and then it would give you 1200. That's the expanded value. You could also do the expanded value as this and move the decimal to the left. Then if you multiply these, again, it's really easy in your calculator because you just use the EE button, and the EE button represents this times 10, so don't put the times 10 in there. And then you would be able to do this division as well. Again, the EE button represents the times 10. Hope this helps as a tutorial, and enjoy!